welcome to the 17th edition of Drive Through Review. Today we're going to be talking about Thor the movie, the board game, released from Hasbro over the past couple of weeks. Not really. We're going to be talking about Yggdrassil, which features Thor and Odin and Freya and Loki and all kinds of good heroes from the time of Ragnarok in ancient Norse mythology, as well as Marvel Comics mythology. So let me jump right into it and show you how it works, and then I'll come back and tell you what I think. Okay, so this is the board set up for a three-player game. And you can see the board looks somewhat busy. It's not really that busy, and it's actually very gorgeous. That's obvious there. I just wanted to give you sort of a panned out zoom of the entire board, and then I'll zoom into the different sections, because when the player takes their actions for their turn, they're going to go to one of these sections and take an action in each of these sort of worlds. So you can see you've got Midgard here, or Earth, in the middle with these four islands here. This one's covered by water right now. And then you've got Hades down here with some dead Vikings. You've got the world of the fire giants down here with some fire giants. You've got the ice giant world here. The Dwarven Forge, where you can go get weapons. This is Asgard here, and these are where the evil gods will be moving from left to right to try to invade Odin's little home there. Up here's the world of the elves, and this is the world of Vanheim up here, the sacred land they call it. So those are the areas of the board where you'll be taking your actions. But like I said, here's just a zoomed out view, and now I'm going to zoom into each place. So this central part here, Asgard, is the focal point of the game, and this is where you're going to win or lose the game. So you can see you've got your 6 evil gods here: Loki, Hel, Surt, 6 different gods. And each turn you're going to be drawing a card from the center deck. If you reveal a card, it's going to show, okay, Surt's going to move forward 1 spot, and you're going to activate his power. And I'll go over those in a little while. And if on the next player's turn, Surt again, so he'll go up 1 more. So every turn, at least one of these gods is going to be moving up. The way that you lose the game is you ever get one of the evil gods past this 1 marker there, at the end of the current player's turn, you're going to lose. If you ever have 3 or more past this stage here, you're going to lose. If you ever have 5 or more past this stage, then you lose. So that's how you lose, and then you win if you can go through the whole deck without that happening, and then you win the game. When you're in this zone, you can do combat with one of the gods, and if you defeat them in combat, you'll push them back. And I'll explain combat in a little bit. So let's look at the gods and all of their different powers. So everybody gets a player mat here, and this is where you can put your weapons and all your tokens on while you're playing. And it also shows you what their special power is. So normally on a turn, a player can take 3 actions per turn. They can take the action in any of the spots on the turn, but you can only take an action in a spot once per turn. So if I was going to go take these elves, for example, use this area for my action, I can only go there once on my turn. If I was going to go here, I could do that once and here. So I could do action 1, 2, 3, and then I'd be done. Frey, however, lets you take 4 actions on your turn. That's his special power. Freyja lets you take an action in the same spot once per turn. So she still gets 3 actions, but she can do the same spot twice, 1 time per turn. Heimdall lets you take an extra token when you go and search for Vikings, and I'll explain that a little bit later. Tyr lets you, whenever you have to roll a dice with Tyr, here's your dice, you can roll 2 dice, and then you get to choose the outcome that you want. Odin will let you draw 2 god cards instead of 1, so you'll draw 2, and then you'll pick the one that is least harmful to you and play that one, and then stick the other one under the bottom of the deck. Thor will give you +1 to all your combat rolls. So let's talk about combat. Okay, so when you want to do combat with one of the gods, you're going to look at this number here on the bottom. So this one is a 5. So if he's in one of these two zones here, his combat strength will be 5. If he's in one of these two zones here, his combat strength will be 6, 7 for here, and then 8 if he's over in this last zone over here. So let's say Loki's in this zone here. So I'm going to need a 6 to beat him. Well, Thor here, remember, has +1 combat. And handily, he has the weapon here that is +2 against Loki. So there's a 3 already. Now the way that the Vikings and the elves work is they will actually add +1 to your combat. So the Vikings, you have to actually commit them before you roll the die. And here's your die that you'll be rolling. So I've got +2, +1, that's 3, 4, 5. So I've only got 5 here. I need 6 to beat him. Now I could add the elf for another +1, but the elves you actually add after you roll. So I'm going to roll, and then I've got the 1 axe, so that's fine. I've got 6, I'll move him back. Let's say I missed, and I got a 0 there, a big blank. Then I could commit the elf after the fact, and then put him back 1 spot. So the elves are sort of like an insurance, and the Vikings you have to commit right away. So this is the top section of the board here on the upper left. And from here, you can go and take an elf. And when you do your actions in this turn, you just go to that area and then you do your action. So the only action you do here is you take an elf, and they're going to help you in combat. Another action you can do is just if you go here, and I've already talked about this area in terms of winning and losing the game, but if you choose to take an action here, then you can do combat, and that's an action to push the gods back. Another action that you can do is you go to the Dwarven Forge. And if you go here, you can actually flip up this deck and then rifle through the cards, and then choose a card. So all of these weapons will give you +1 up to +3 against a particular god. So I can go through here, and as a player I can say, okay, I'm going to go get this ring, and to give me +1 against hell. If I go back there again, I can actually go and put this one back in the deck, go and upgrade to the +2, and then eventually to the +3. Now the cool thing is that everybody can have the same weapon. So if I go and upgrade my +1 to a +2, somebody else can come back in on their turn and grab the +1. So this is how you're going to acquire the Vikings for combat. So the way that you will acquire the Viking is you will use Midgard up here. And when you choose the Midgard action is you can move these Valkyries left or right 1 space. Now they start on the Rainbow Bridge here, and so your first person to choose this action will move her over to the white space here, the Land of Snow. So you've got snow, water, forest, and then a volcano area. So you'll choose her action, move her 1 space, and then you'll reach into the white bag here, and you'll pull out 3 tokens. And you will do this without looking. And then any Vikings that you pull out, you'll keep, and you'll put on your player mat. Any fire giants you pull will go back into the bag. So on the next turn, somebody could move her to the blue bag, or the green bag, or the black bag. Now, if this flood token is on one of these lands, you can still move on there, but you just can't draw out of that bag. And the reason that you want to move all the way to the right is that the game starts off with mostly fire giants and a couple of Vikings in the white bag, to sort of a middle ground of Vikings and fire giants in the middle bags, and then the black bag has very little fire giants and a lot of Vikings. So you want to try to get her moved across to get the black bag. But at the start of the game, you can see that this flood tile is on the black bag. And how that flood tile moves, I'll explain in a minute. So that's the Midgard action. That lets you move her around and draw these little tiles. The fire giant action will actually let you draw 5 tokens out of any of the bags, and any fire giants that you may draw you're going to take from the bag and just put in the land of the fire giants, thus reducing the chances that you're going to draw a fire giant when you take the Midgard action. The Hades action lets you take up to 5 Vikings and put them in any bag of your color. So before, when I was explaining combat, when you use a Viking, you discard them to Hades. So the more and more you do more combat, the more dead Vikings there's going to be, and the less Vikings there's probably going to be in these bags. So you're going to want to try to fill up these bags. This last action down here, there's not really anything special around it. It's sort of nondescript down here. But if you take this action, it lets you trade, the active player, trade or just give or even just take elf tokens and Viking tokens with another player. So it's a way to kind of spread the wealth around. So if you take this action here in the land of the frost giants, you can kill a frost giant. Now if you want, you can take the action and try to do combat with the frost giant and just kill the one from the top of the deck. And you'll just, if you succeed, you'll kill it, and then it'll discard it off to the side. If Loki, as he's moving up the track up here, every time he moves up, he may force 1, 2, or even 3 frost giants to be drawn out. So if they're drawn out, you're just going to put them over the side here, and they all have a negative effect. And so you can see this frost giant here will give +1 strength to Jormungandr, which is the sort of dragon, frost dragon creature. So you'll have to get 1 more strength in combat to defeat him. Now this frost giant is a little bit trickier. So you can see it has this symbol, this rune with an X through it. Well, there's quite a few of these, and what these mean is you'll take this token here, this little X token, and then you have to place it on one of the different worlds to prevent that action. So while this giant is face up, the action's prevented when you put this token on. And this particular action is the action that lets you draw fire giants out of the bag and put them in the land of the fire giants. So this will be placed over that over here, off to the side, and then nobody can take that action while this giant's still face up in play. Now these frost giants can be kind of annoying, but they can also help you. So you can see each at the bottom of these frost giants, you've got the little negative effect there in gray, but at the bottom you've got a color there. So you can see there's sort of a little gray color there and a blue one there. Well, there's 4 of each color. So this is the blue one. There's 2 blue ones there, and these. So if you, these actually will form a little rune if you put them together like so, like that. So once you kill 4 of the same color giants and form that rune, then you're going to have a beneficial effect happen. So as soon as I kill those 4 immediately, I'm going to be able to move 1 enemy counter back 3 spaces. And there's another one that lets you move 3 enemies back 1 space. One that lets you get a bunch of free Vikings, and so on. So they're annoying, but it's also a good idea to go and kill them to get some of those really good bonuses. So this last area, Sacred Land, is a little bit tricky. If you choose to take this action, you can move Vanheim up 1 space. And then let's say the next player wants to take him, he can move him up 1 space. And then the next guy, then the next guy. But if you choose to take the action of this spot, you can choose one of these 5 actions here. What happens when you choose the action, though, is it sends him back to the beginning. And these actions get better and better as you move him up. So this is something you kind of want to start doing at the beginning of the game to get the better actions. And I'll tell you what they each do. So if Vanheim is here on your turn and you choose to take this action, this will let you move the Valkyrie left or right 1 space, but it doesn't let you draw any of the Vikings out, so it's somewhat pointless. If it's up here, it lets you take 2 Vikings straight out of Hades. If it's here, then you can rearrange the top 6 cards of the deck. If it's here, you can move one of the gods back 1 space. And if it's here, which is really the best one, you can dig through the frost giants and then kill the one of your choice. So like I said, you can either move him up for an action, or you can, if he's here, let's say, you can choose this action here to rearrange 6 cards, and then it'll reset him back to the beginning. So let's take a quick look at the gods, the evil gods, and their different powers. So remember, on your turn, you're going to flip up a card from the god deck, and then you're going to advance the pictured god 1 space, and then do its power. Now a lot of the powers are going to be affected by which zone they're in. Just as their combat strength is affected, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can see these little lightning bolt symbols. There's 1 there, 2 there, 3 there. And then if they're in the last zone, then their power won't apply because they're in the last zone. So a lot of times what you're going to do is roll a dice. So let's look at Cert. So you can see he's got an ability, you're going to roll a dice. And so we rolled, now you don't look at the axes, you look at the color. So you got black, blue, white, and then a green side over here. So we're gonna put one. If he just moved in here, actually, we're gonna put two fire giant tokens in the black bag. If he was here, it just would have been one token. So Loki, when we draw him, he's gonna move up. So he moved in here. So he's gonna actually draw two frost giant cards, and you're gonna put him face up. Needhogg is a little bit interesting. He's a little tricky. It doesn't seem that strong, at least to me on the surface, but it's actually really strong. He's going to move up, and then he's going to drag the furthest token back up one space. So you can see these three are the furthest back, so you can choose, and you just move them up without activating their power. So you can kind of drag them across these lines and make you be in real quick danger of losing. Fenrir is a little bit of a bugger. When you draw him and he moves up, you have to start rolling a dice to waste your actions. So since he's in this two lightning area, you have to roll either, it might be a little difficult to see, either a blank side or a blue side, or else you use an action. So I rolled a blue, so that's good. I only lost one action. If I'd have rolled a black, let's say, I'd have to roll again. And now I'd use another action by doing that. And it's feasible that I would lose my whole turn whiffing on this dice. Jormungand, he's actually going to reset the Valkyries back here. See on the bottom down there? He's going to reset the Valkyries back to the Rainbow Bridge, and then you're going to roll a dice. So let's roll a dice here. So that's blue. And then I'm going to now flood the blue world. So I can no longer pull out of the blue bag. So that's how you reset the Valkyries and move that flood tile around. Now Hel is a little bit of a bugger too. When she moves up, you're going to roll a dice. And so I rolled a blue. So she moves up here in the two lightning area. You're going to actually go to the blue bag and pull out, go look in it actually, and look and see and find two Vikings and pull them directly out. Okay, hope you enjoyed my overview. Over the last year, I've been kind of getting into a new set of games, and that's co-op. I hadn't really played or really heard of co-ops that much, except in the last year. So I've played like Pandemic and Forbidden Island and Defenders of the Realm and maybe some others. I haven't played Ghost Stories, which this game is supposed to be the replacement for, so I can't speak to that. But this game is a lot of fun. One thing I've noticed is that actually with Pandemic and Forbidden Island, I like to play those by myself than more than with a group of people. Defenders of the Realm, however, I don't like to play that by myself. It's just too much stuff going on, and it doesn't really feel right with the theme. This one, actually, I like playing alone and with people. I've played it solo a couple times. I played it with 2 and 3 people, and with 6 people even. And actually, if you get the promotional God character card, the components are there to play with up to 7 people. However, the difficulty scales up immensely the more people you add to it. And there's actually some other supplemental cards you can add that will move, the God cards twice, or move all the God cards once. Those are Ragnarok cards. So if you get good at the game, then you can add those cards. But if you're playing with like 6 people or 5 people, I would leave them out of there, especially your first few games. It's got a great amount of interaction and cooperativeness, lo and behold. Lots of teamwork and lots of, okay, I'm going to do this on my turn, and then maybe give you this on your turn, and we'll move the Vanheim guy up. There's a lot of good interaction there instead of just like, I'm going to go here, do this. And maybe it's because I've played some of the other games so much. I like this better, I think, than Pandemic and Forbidden Island, but maybe not quite as much as Defenders of the Realm. That's all personal taste. What I do like about this again is that you can play it alone and it works really well. Just playing one character card, and it's still, there's some good tension there, and then it scales up really nicely for a large group of people, and the theme is really good. The components. And Thor just came out. I played it yesterday with 6, and everybody was like, "Oh, sweet Thor! This is cool Norse god stuff." And so that was pretty fun. And that's about it. So enjoy.